reacting. Obviously, you got season 2 of Home Before Dark. It's just started, I think, last week. It's started on June the 11th. Every Friday, a new episode drops on Apple TV Plus.
That's it.
It is, like I said, season 2. So I binged the first season.
Did you?
I did. It's. We'll talk about it before we talk about season 2. Because how did you get involved in it to begin with? Did they send you a script? Was it a meeting?
Yeah, they sent over a script with a sort of cover letter saying that they would love me to meet with the team that was sort of putting it together. And I sort of saw on the blurb that they'd written that it was starring this girl, Brooklyn Prince. And I'd just seen a movie that she was in, a film called The Florida Project. I may have seen it maybe a month before.
Great
and that
film,
girl
isn't
had
it?
stuck in my mind. I was
Yeah.
like, that girl is absolutely amazing. And I loved the film and I loved her performance in it. So when I saw that it was her playing this young girl and it was a very sort of special sort of relationship, father-daughter kind of story, I thought, okay, that looks like something that could be interesting, you know. And it was directed by John Chu, who had just come off the back of Crazy Rich Asians. And I thought, okay, you know, I'll sort of go and sort of investigate a little further. So they flew me to Los Angeles to sort of do a screen test chemistry meet
With Brooklyn.
Right. Which is terrifying. I mean, it's terrifying enough as it is doing those things. Normally it's for a sort of romantic connection.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
That you do it with a sort of leading lady or something. But to do it with an 8-year-old girl at the time, you know.
I mean, so she'd already been cast at this
She
point.
was cast
Right.
and they were trying to find someone to play her dad.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I flew to Los Angeles. I met with her mum and I met with the producers and the writers and the director and, you know, various other people. And then they kind of, after about 15 minutes, they said, right, we're going to bring in Brooklyn, you know, and she sort of appeared in a sort of dry ice, rose from the floor, you know what I mean? And yeah, and it was terrifying because kids don't have a filter like that, you know. If you don't get along, they're going to let you know about it. There's no sort of pretend, you know. They're not sort of.
I think wasn't it W.C. Fields who said never work with children and animals?
Right.
I mean, obviously, you know, it must be very different to your regular kind of acting relationship with someone.
Well, it was at the beginning. I mean, I was nervous because whoever played that character, and I knew that Brooklyn was amazing in the Florida projects, but I sort of knew that the director was great at just sort of capturing that raw energy of these kids and sort of letting them run around, and he filmed it, and it was, you know, there's a lot of improvisation in that particular film. And for this, it would really required an amazing actress. I mean, somebody that really kind of could go to all these emotional places and you know, remember tons of lines, and it wasn't quite the same style of film, you know. And she just blew my mind and continues to blow my mind. And, you know, I work with her very closely and I've watched her sort of grow and we've become very close over the years.
She's incredible in it.
And she's amazing,
I honestly think it's not an easy part because, you know, because there is a danger of that character because you're like you say, an 8-year-old kid. The character is kind of like very confident.
Yeah.
Very, she speaks her mind. You know, you could easily find yourself with a precocious child who you're like, I'm not doing that. And she walks that line so well that you really you buy into this character because she's based on a real person, a 9-year-old journalist called Hildy Lysiak, I think.
Lysiak
is it pronounced?
Lysiak, Which I didn't know going in, actually. I mean, I read maybe 2 scripts and then you have to sort of make your decision. I didn't realise it was all based on truth.
Yeah.
You know? So when you discover that as an actor and you're enjoying the sort of material anyway, and then it's like, well, this is all true. These people really exist.
And you were kind of like, because when I first heard about it, before I'd watched it, I was like, how is this going to work? Like, that was my initial reaction to the idea of this very dark adult murder mystery with there's a child being kidnapped, possibly murdered, and then your protagonist is, you know, a 9-year-old kid, and you're like, these two genres, are they going to work? And it's amazing how well they go together.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that was something that we were all quite nervous about and conscious of, you know, and the sort of showrunners and the producers and everybody really sort of managed to weave a really interesting sort of balance between the darkness and the sort of
and then you think
joyfulness of it as well. Because you're sort of seeing the adult world, which we all know is a fairly messed up place, but you're seeing the adult world through the eyes of sort of young kids, but it's not filtered, you know, it's not sort of showing the world as this sort of squeaky clean, colourful landscape. You know, it's all there for the kids to absorb and to be a part of.
And you think back to the kind of movies that I'm sure you loved as a kid that I loved, and actually, a lot of the movies that we liked were this kind of thing. You look at something, I think it was Stand By Me that popped into my head. I was like, well, obviously the kids are slightly older in that, but it is, it's a kid's been killed and they're on this adventure, and there's hijinks and whatever, but the undertone is they're going to see a body at the end.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely the time we were talking, when they were sort of pitching the film and talking about it, those kind of Amblin movies, those older films, Stand By Me definitely came up a lot.
Yeah.
E.T., Goonies, a sort of mix of all that sort of stuff, with a sort of true crime drama of a sort of Netflix documentary or something. It's really dark.
Yeah, but it's great. So you, do you know what I like as well? I'm really into shows that transport you somewhere, and you really do spend a lot of season one and indeed the start of season two. You feel like you've been moved to this small town, America.
Yeah.
Erie Harbor, as it's called in the movie. But you actually shoot in Vancouver.
We shoot in Vancouver, yeah.
So I mean, I've been to Vancouver and I can't play. So it must be just outside Vancouver, or like.
It's very. I mean, Vancouver's got quite a lot of places where you can sort of create small towns that could be kind of anywhere,
And how long are you there then? Like, are you there? Do you go back and forth, or once you're there, you do the whole series and
do the whole? Yeah. So I mean, it's 10 episodes, so that usually takes around 5-6 months to shoot. This year was a slightly different experience because of COVID, and we sort of got there expecting to sort of, I remember leaving the house in London, kind of thinking, oh, here we go, going for a sort of, a long time, because 5-6 months is a long time. Little did I know that a year and a half later I would be coming back.
Is that how long? Wait, you've been away a year and a half?
I was in Vancouver for a year and a half. Yeah,
oh my God.
We started the show. I think we got to about the third or fourth episode. And we got shut down, as everybody sort of did, and work sort of stopped. And we all sort of made the decision that we would stay. We'd all sort of moved anyway, and we'd sort of found ourselves accommodation in Vancouver, and I'd rented out my place in London. And it was just that, no one quite knew how long it was going to go on for. So we were sort of, in a nice way, all the cast decided that we would all stay in Vancouver, and we would just sort of ride it out and see how long it came. And then we ended up just like...
So you've been away a year and a half, and how long have you been back then?
I've been back just over a month now.
Oh my God! Yeah. So it's like, how is it being home?
It's amazing. Yeah. Well, the sun's come out. Yeah. So it feels like you're sort of having a sort of vacation in your own city, because it's an amazing feeling to miss your own city. That's something that's quite rare, actually. Normally, you're sort of desperate to kind of get out, and have a holiday,
travel, see the world.
Exactly. Just do anything but stay in town. And so it's been really nice sort of seeing it through sort of fresh eyes again. And now London's always beautiful when the sun's out.
It's amazing at the moment. And
I miss the pubs, and I sort of came back just in time for the pubs to sort of slightly reopen. It was almost like I timed it perfectly, but it was nothing to do.
Oh, so what was it like? Were you there with your family? Did you take your family out there? Or?
Well, I left with my wife, and I came back with a family. So I had a baby boy while I was out there.
Wow.
So we were there so long.
Big year and a half. A lot of stuff.
I ended up having a child while we were there. Which was mad, which we weren't expecting at all. So it was.
Hey, congratulations!
Thank you very much. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And what was it like walking back through your front door? Because I've never been away for a year and a half, but when you're away for a long time and you walk back through your front door, there's a special feeling.
It really. I mean, if I could bottle that feeling when we did it, because it was. Just I think having our baby and bringing him home was just such a monumental feeling. We'd been sort of staying in Airbnbs, and I ended up shooting a film in New York before I came home. So we were in hotels, and he was in a pop-up cot, and that had sort of become our life. We were accustomed to that, this sort of nomadic sort of traveling on the road sort of lifestyle. And we got home, and you sort of put the key through the door, and you bring your new boy back into this, into the nest, into the actual home. Yeah. And to set up his bedroom and to sort of make it his, and it was just really quite beautiful. It was amazing. Yeah.
I wonder if he's one of the youngest people on the planet to have that many stamps in his passport.
He done well, man. Yeah. Haven't he been to New York? He loved New York. He was just looking around like that, just fucking wide-eyed, just having the best time ever.
Oh, amazing. So are you on downtime now? Have you got a little bit of time to yourself? What is your how does your downtime play out? Is it just
it's definitely some downtime. Yeah, it was quite a long sort of trek with the Vancouver job and finishing off the show, because like I said, we had to wait for such a long time. We did the whole summer in Vancouver, none of us sort of working, and then we had to finish it off, and we had 7 episodes still to go. So we were there a long time.
Yeah.
then I went and shot a film in New York. And so I was done, you know, yeah. So it's just nice to be home and just have a bit of time and know that you've got nothing on the horizon. That's sort of, because I'm one of those people, the minute I know it's there, even if it's like 3 months away, my brain's like,
yeah.
And you just start kind of plotting it, planning it, thinking about it, stressing about it,
all
getting
the mechanics
excited about
of it, you know, moving where I'm going to be, you know.
Yeah. So it's nice to just have a empty horizon for the time being.
It must have been great I'm imagining it must have been nice for the cat. You've got some great cat, like, as well as Brooklyn, you've got Abby Miller in there.
Yeah, Louis lovely.
Louis Hertham. Yeah, Abby Miller, I thought she was great in The Sinner. Louis Hertham, we know from Westworld.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, it being the atmosphere on the set being like a very tight-knit kind of family community, a year and a half in the same place is going to do that.
Yeah. Well, it was amazing to sort of go back, having experienced something real together. You know, we'd all sort of really had this monumental life experience that we'd all sort of got each other through in that way. So when we sort of came back to filming, it felt like the family dynamic had just been enriched and just felt more sort of grounded, you know. We weren't sort of pretending as much. We really knew each other. We really had been through something together. So that all really sort of played into it in a nice way, in an interesting way.
I'm excited. I mean, I am excited. Like I said, I've just
And
started...
Abby had a baby too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had 2 pregnant wives. It was kind of a bit of a mind bend. Who ended up becoming very good friends. It's like, this is all very weird. This is all bending my head a little bit.
What's the line? Reality, fiction, what's going on?
Yeah.
So... This is, I think this is probably, in terms of the scale, the biggest TV series you've done. Because, I mean, primarily your career has been in film.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the landscape has changed. You know, in the last decade, like TV, now we are in this golden age of TV where, you know, the difference between the quality of a TV show and a film is almost negligible. And the budgets, did this feel... I mean, being one of the biggest that I think you've done, did this feel different on set? Could you was the gap between you being on a film set and you being on the set of Home Before Dark, like, noticeably smaller?
Yeah, it did. They build a lot of the sets, and you always know you're in a big production when they build the set, you know. And so it just felt very sort of professional, you know, and I think for one of the Apple shows, it's not one of their big spenders, but it's still a big show.
It looks great.
Yeah, they do a really good job of it. Yeah, it did. It felt like it was, from certainly doing sort of a lot of independent films, you felt like you were in something that was sort of big and impactful. I mean, I've been in some big movies ttoo, where they build some sort of giant sets, but it was nice that we had this house that was built in a studio, and it became sort of home, you know, and it's sort of, we would just hang out there. We would all hang out in the kitchen and play cards in between takes, and sort of, you know, the home sort of felt very real for us, you know.